We coming for you, nigga. We coming for you, nigga. We coming for you, nigga. We coming for you, nigga.
Really?
We coming for you, nigga.
Really?
We coming for you, nigga.
Really?
We coming for you, nigga.
Finally!
We coming for you, nigga.
Mikasa Sukasa. You Eddie, right?
Yeah.
Look like Eddie Guerrero, man. You like to watch wrestling?
Yeah.
Have you ever watched wrestling? On weed? That's the way to see it, man! It's rock!
What up, words? Your boy Physics in. You know what time it is. It is March 4th. Welcome to another Wild News Joint. On today's episode, we're talking Tony Khan in Ring of Honor news, updates on Cody Rhodes in Triple H, and more right after this.
Really? This is my yard now. It doesn't matter what your
Shout out to the Wild Nation. Shout out to Gruss in the building, the supervillain of the IWC. We got Kid Get Money and If you want to be a part of the Wild Nation, make sure to subscribe and also make sure to leave comments in the comment section. If you can't make the live show, I do be checking them. I do be responding. So I will see you there. Especially let me know what you think about what we're about to talk about now. And that is Tony Khan acquiring Ring of Honor. That was the big announcement on Wednesday night on Dynamite. And if you remember on Wednesday morning when I did the show, I broke down on what was going on with Ring of Honor and what would happen if AEW would buy it, not knowing that the huge announcement later that night would be that Tony Khan was going to make, was that he was going to buy the promotion. Tony Khan had agreed to acquire the assets of Ring of Honor Wrestling Entertainment LLC from Sinclair Broadcast Group, including the promotion's extensive video library dating back to 2002, brand assets, intellectual property, production equipment, and more. This acquisition will be completely through an entity that is wholly owned by Tony Khan. Regarding upcoming plans for ROH, Khan's press release noted that more details will be announced in the coming weeks. PW Insider adds that as of Wednesday, the ROH side was still working on production for the ROH TV show and the upcoming events announced for April. And word going around that circle was the sell talks were going on, but the deal wasn't done. That changed late in the day on Wednesday, as late as 6 p.m. Eastern. So 2 hours before he got on air, they did not have a deal, which means we could have ran into another Tony Khan issue of him saying we're gonna have something major and then it not happening. Like it would have been very interesting what his backup plan would have been if probably would have been Jeff Hardy if it didn't go through. While the two sides had been in talks for a few weeks, the official deal wasn't closed until Wednesday. There was a small circle in AEW who were aware of the talks, and they believed it to be a done deal well before that. The sale was described as bittersweet by people on ROH side, as some feel like this was the right thing for the long-term viability of ROH. But there were a lot of people who truly love working on a product and who were extremely saddened to see this chapter end. Regarding the future of ROH, Cassidy Haynes, Body Slam reports that internal plans call for AEW to use ROH as a developmental territory of sorts, which I mentioned on Wednesday. It was also noted how word was going around. Noting how word going around says main roster AEW talent will be featured on ROH brands at times. It was also noted by Body Slam that Khan paid in the 30 to 40 million range. This comes after a recent report noted, which I stated on Wednesday, how one person was in talks to buy the company in early 2020 for a discussed 40 million price point, while another person claimed the potential buyer was told 30 million for 50% ownership at one point. Should be noted that these price points were from a time when ROH has several talent contracts and before the hiatus was announced last year. Now, what do we have? Now, what information do we have so far? The information we have so far is that all ROH talent was either released when the promotion went on hiatus last year or their contracts will expire this month. Insider reminds us that means anyone Tony Khan wants to have work for AEW or ROH going forward, such as the Briscoes or Jonathan Gresham, would need to be signed. This is probably why Jonathan Gresham has been backstage over the last few weeks at AEW. Talents who are booked for April 1st Supercard of Honor event in Dallas were frustrated management hadn't told them about ROH's plans beyond that. Mike Johnson of Insider says his cell phone exploded with texts from ROH wrestlers after the announcement, and none knew or would admit to knowing about Khan's purchase. Acquiring the ROH tape library means Khan now owns the footage from All In. Johnson is one of many speculating that the addition of 20 years of Ring of Honor shows makes Tony Khan's wrestling assets more attractive to streaming services. More importantly, HBO Max, which is owned by Warner Media, which owns TNT, TBS. Johnson also theorized ROH could be a home for the talents of owning AEW roster who currently aren't getting much television time. He even floats the idea of rebranding Dark and Dark Elevation with the Ring of Honor name to shop them for separate TV deals. No word yet on if longtime Ring of Honor booker Hunter Delirious Johnson will have a role in the Khan-owned version of the company, per Insider. Johnson also wonders if Tony Khan's purchase includes Ring of Honor's TV time slots on Sinclair syndicated channels and cable outlets like Stadium and NESN. Now that's a lot of information. One of the questions we got is, which world title is worth more, AEW or Ring of Honor? Um, Prestige wise, Ring of Honor. As far as what is the biggest at the moment, it is AEW, due to everything they got going on, and now it looks like they're going to use it as a developmental territory. Which is what I figured they were going to do. And it's kind of smart, but it's kind of sad that this is what Ring of Honor is going to be used to, because, as stated, everybody that was part of Ring of Honor, the Los Ingobernables de Faction is no longer there. We're not going to have Rush there. A lot of the great black wrestlers that were there are no longer there. It feels like, you know, Jonathan Gresham is most likely going to sign. Swerve is going to be a part of that super card, but he's already going to be signed to AEW. So, it's going to be a lot of people's checks saying AEW rather than Ring of Honor. And it felt like it's just going to be a lot of AEW people going there to Ring of Honor. And I wouldn't be surprised if they shifted Dark and Elevation into Ring of Honor, which I'm not too fond of, but it does fix the problem of having people that ceiling is TNT champion. So a Keith Lee could be the world champion for Ring of Honor. You know, because at this moment we only have, as far as future champions for AEW, there's a handful. There's CM Punk, he's gonna have the belt. Bryan Danielson, he's gonna have the belt. MJF, he's gonna have the belt. I'm not even sure Adam Cole can get the belt, even though Adam Cole's great. I'm not even sure. So you can even put Keith Lee, Adam Cole, wrestlers that and of course Bray Wyatt, whenever he gets there, he would have the belt. So, there's also talks of an invasion angle, and, Ring of Honor. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Ring of Honor versus AEW, or AEW versus Ring of Honor pay-per-view sometime in the future. So, but will we get a brand split? I just feel like we're just gonna have certain wrestlers there and they'll be going back and forth. I don't think it's going to be these wrestlers are here unless you're a champion, and that's about it. I feel like if there's going to be anything, Jonathan Gresham's going to be the head of it, but there's also rumors that somebody else might be ahead of that, and it's Cody Rhodes. So Cassidy Haynes of BodySlam.net, same person that broke the news that CM Punk was coming to AEW, was told that Cody Rhodes' talks with WWE have fizzled out. One source says there is hope Cody can return to AEW, possibly in a new role related to Tony Khan's purchase of Ring of Honor. As everybody knows, the one thing that he wants to do is be a booker. There was no way of Tony Khan giving up the power that he has, as far as being a booker for AEW. And for Cody, this is a legacy thing. Not only legacy thing, it's a thing of honoring his father, who was also the booker for WCW, done stuff back for the beginning of NXT, and he wants to take that role. And I just don't see Tony Khan doing both. He can try, but I feel like he can make a mess of it if he's trying to do both. What's going to be more important to him is the moneymaker, which is AEW. So him trying to book both is just going to lead to a Vince-like WWE type thing. And he's trying to be the antithesis of that, and he can't be that if that's the case. So if he was smart, he would re-sign Cody Rhodes to Ring of Honor, have him come out, do a Ring of Honor invasion. And he was like, yeah, the checks might, I might be here, but my contract says Ring of Honor. It has nothing to do with AEW. Gruss ask, will Hit Row be in ROH? I don't know. AJ Francis, aka Top Dollar, might be going back to WWE to work for that treasure show that he did for A&E. That was one of the biggest shows, and they're going to do it again, and they're about to start going back in production. And he kind of hinted that he might be working back with WWE to do that show. So if he's doing that show, he won't be there. I wouldn't be surprised if everybody else ends back up for Hit Row in Ring of Honor. That just kind of makes sense. It says, should Tony Khan make a play to buy Impact? I don't think Impact will sell. They actually have TV things, and there's a reason why Tony Khan wasn't trying to get a bunch of wrestlers, because on his dime, because there was a talks in the past, he was like, if there was somebody I really want, I will pay for it out of my own pocket. Well, his own pocket just bought Ring of Honor, so he's still waiting to get the money from TV, from Warner Media, to see what the next TV contract is going to be before he can, lock down people. Because one of the people he needs to lock down is MJF. MJF is going to be a millionaire once his contract is up. So if that, cash reserves isn't good enough, I don't know who's going to be there and if he's going to be reaching in his pocket, especially if ROH is not making a profit, and it might not make a profit for the next few years. So this is just, kindly where we are right now. But so, how does WWE feel about this? WWE was shocked. PW Insider reports that WWE was interested in purchasing Ring of Honor when the company announced their hiatus last November. WWE and ROH officials entered into discussions back in December, but for some reason, the talks ended without an official deal being made. Also, before I go, the fact that Cody Rhodes and the WWE deal is fizzling out, like if that's true, that's kind of sad due to the fact that WWE were the ones that dropped the information that he was leaving and that they were going to sign him. It's also sad that they did this whole victory lap about signing Cody Rhodes and then not end up getting him. So if I'm WWE, I'm backing the truck up just to not look like I have egg on my face, because also I also don't think it will go well for Cody unless he's tied to ROH, because if he comes back and he's strictly AEW and he's, I guess, who's back, I don't know if the crowd is gonna like him. I just don't. I just feel like they're gonna just look at him like, look who's back. Look like you couldn't hack into WWE. You couldn't even get a contract. And then anybody on the mic is just gonna shit on him about this whole situation. So for WWE's sake and Cody Rhodes' sake, unless he's gonna be tied to ROH, hopefully they work something out, because it could look bad for the both of them. WWE and ROH officials entered in discussions back in December, but for some reason the talks ended without an official deal being made. This was not the first time WWE and ROH had talks, as Triple H wanted to buy the promotion when they were hot back in 2018. McMahon ultimately wanted to buy somebody bigger. WWE tried to buy New Japan Pro Wrestling, Stardom, Noah, and AAA, but they weren't willing to pay the right price to make it happen. It was noted that some people in WWE were legitimately shocked when Khan made his announcement, as there was a feeling within WWE that AEW was going to announce a streaming deal with HBO Max, with HBO Max, which had been rumored, which I feel like that's going to happen eventually. Now that AEW has the Ring of Honor's tape library, HBO Max is going to grab it up, put all that stuff there. So now they also have a wrestling entity, something a little different, on HBO Max. So he said there's going to be news coming in the next few weeks. Expect that in the next few weeks. But this is another thing where I feel like WWE buying WCW kind of screwed them, because they bought WCW on pennies. And I think they feel like if they're going to buy another promotion, that's exactly the only thing they could do. Only thing they could do is buy it on pennies. And that's not just going to be the case. Like if they would have got ROH when it was hot and just not even mess with it, like ROH was still doing this thing with New Japan Pro Wrestling, I really feel like it might have been. And I think Triple H was also thinking, for future purposes, this would have been the end, because of how involved the Elite were with Ring of Honor at that time. Cody Rhodes was already there at that time. to just bring everybody from the elite in and not have to deal with the issues of a possibly all in, because all in was owned by Ring of Honor. You buy Ring of Honor, you're technically bringing them in. AEW doesn't exist. Think about this. AEW would not exist if WWE bought Ring of Honor. That's just a hindsight thing. They wanted to buy New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I guarantee you they would have then eventually turned it to WWE or NXT JPW. Like, they would have flipped it into something else, and it's just out of the price range. And this is the thing, in the future, I feel like WWE's kind of noticing this. I mean, they're the billion-dollar company, but to make money, it takes money. And if you want these promotions, you might need to spend 1.5 to 2 times more, or just like 30 million, 40 million. That's a bucket. Like, if that was what the cost was back then in November, December, y'all easily could have snatched it up. But now we have this big news, and the last few weeks of wrestling has been crazy. So, this is just where we are right now. Gross says Tony Khan don't give a F about the Jags. Yeah, because that's his daddy's thing. He's just there, but that's his daddy's thing. This is the first thing he has as a rich kid, as his own thing. So now that he has it, he's going all out to make sure that people know this is him, this is what he's doing, and that he's trying to show and prove that he can be worth something, that this is his thing. So, this is just where we are. You know, Sean, it's his daddy's thing. This is not his. So he's going all out, and he's trying to make sure that he's going to be here for a long time. And what he's doing is guaranteeing that. For our last segments, as already mentioned, Triple H, WWE recently laid off one of Triple H's top assistants, and insider sources says it's being taken as a sign that he's not anywhere close to being ready to return to his post as executive vice president of global talent strategy and development, and may never return to working full time. Um, I would say this: the end of the Triple H era of wrestling within WWE and NXT is going out sad. And it really feels like they're just, kicking him out. And for what? Like, all right, he can't wrestle anymore. Got you. What does him wrestling have to do with him being backstage? Like, does he get so worked up that this is going to be the reason, or do they feel like he was working so much that he's going to have another heart attack? But I was like, do they feel the stress of the job was too much for him? If that's the case, and if that's true, all right, it's understandable. But due to the fact that we haven't heard Triple H's side, the man has kind of been just silent throughout the whole thing. The only thing we've ever seen of him was him walking through, the new office that WWE is building, and that is it. That's as much as we've ever seen him involved. And we've seen the issues of him not being involved. We saw how bad Royal Rumble was, when that is something that he usually does. We saw the issues with NXT once he left. NXT 2.0 is now turning into its own thing, but there was nothing wrong with what NXT was. There was nothing wrong with what he was creating. What was wrong was taking what he created, bringing it to WWE, and then fucking it up. That's what was wrong. Taking something like Karrion Kross and then turning him to this Spartan dude that you wanted Ron Simmons to do back in the day when he first came in. Taking away Scarlett because of reasons. Changing Keith Lee's look right before he got up. Changing his music right before he got up. Because of reasons. Because you want to differentiate from NXT to WWE. But why? You own a product. People that are watching NXT, knowing that somebody they love is going to WWE, are going to now shift to watch WWE. And people that watch WWE see these NXT people come in and are like, oh man, they're great. What is NXT doing? Because that's what happened when Kevin Owens made his debut and powerbombed John Cena. And everybody was like, who the hell is this dude? Maybe I should start watching NXT. When all of the news start going around about Sasha Banks and Bayley in Brooklyn, an event I was at live and still my favorite match I've ever seen in person, the news went around. Everybody started looking at NXT. When people had the WWE network, it wasn't to watch WWE stuff. A lot of people got it to watch NXT. And then you put it on TV and you want to shift it because reasons. And now Triple H is not there because of reasons. Hey, you had Shane McMahon come in for one night to try to do the Royal Rumble and he messed it up. So if you only want to use Hunter for just event things, just use him for that so that we at least know that when these big events come in, they're going to be good. They're going to be taken care of. And then we're not going to have to worry about them being bad because we're at that moment right now. And, he was there for last year's WrestleMania. WrestleMania is around the corner. And, y'all are about to go all out in the next few weeks, especially with all the news about possibly Stone Cold coming. Please, if he can work in any capacity, allow him to, and just don't throw him, away because he has such a great wrestling mind. Him not being able to use it, it's not good. And you might end up screwing yourself and him doing something else if you don't pay attention. Now it's time for some quick hits. Vince McMahon announced on the Pat McAfee show that he will be the man who inducts Undertaker to the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022 on April 1st. McMahon said it's one of the most difficult things he'll ever do because of how much he loves the man behind the gimmick, Mark Calloway. Alexa Bliss' next storyline likely won't start until after WrestleMania 38, according to PW Insider. The site also says Bayley will return to television after WrestleMania and reiterated its previous report on Asuka about the same thing. So, something I said previously. Per Fightful, Darby Allin has been shooting content for a Warner Media reality TV show called Darby's Day Off that involves death-defying stunts. There have also been talks of additional Warner Media reality shows for other AEW wrestlers. So, what AEW wrestlers would you want to see a reality TV show on? I'm pretty sure everybody wants to say MJF. Ringside News was told that Elias is in creative purgatory right now. There are no ideas being pitched for his return to WWE television. Thunder Rosa was reportedly injured just days before the AEW Revolution pay-per-view. Wednesday's go-home edition of AEW Dynamite saw Rosa and Mercedes Martinez defeat Jamie Hayter and AEW Women's Champion Britt Baker. The Wrestling Observer newsletter now reports that Rosa suffered some sort of injury during that bout. Rosa's left leg was taped up going into Wednesday's match, leading to speculation on a possible hamstring or thigh injury. There's no word yet on details of the injury or the severity, but the report noted that Rosa will work Sunday's title match with Britt Baker. It was also brought up by Sean Rossap that he reached out down on Twitter. He said, I reached out to Thunder Rosa and AEW sources who have vehemently denied she's injured. The match at AEW Revolution with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is to proceed as scheduled. So she might not be injured at all. It could just be a rumor. Gruss says everything happening to Triple H is karma. You possibly could be right, or it could be Nick Conra, due to the fact that, as I stated last episode, Nick Khan and The Rock grew up. Now Nick Khan is one of the biggest people in there, and if he had any talks with The Rock about Triple H, it wouldn't be surprised that this was the case. Gruss says, I still believe that Shane was behind the Rumble. He's a scapegoat. Well, on paper, his name was there. He stated that he was working on it. So, I mean, you don't want to take his word. I'm not sure, but and other wrestlers also mentioned that it was him as well. So either everybody hates Shane McMahon and they just want to throw him under the bus. And if that's the case, why is he still working with them? Because he's still doing business deals for WWE. I feel like it's quite true of everything that happened. because a lot of people that were involved and were going to do stuff with Shane McMahon are kind of not doing anything anymore because of all of that with Shane McMahon. So think there's a lot of truth to that. And there's too many people in the wrestling news business that have too many sources that got it confirmed that it was him. Now let's talk about what's going on tonight in the world of wrestling. The road to WrestleMania 38 continues tonight at WWE SmackDown on Fox, which will air live from the FTX Arena in Miami, Florida. The current lineup for tonight's SmackDown: WWE Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn defense against Ricochet. SmackDown Tag Team Champions the Usos defend against Viking Raiders, and Ronda Rousey versus Sonya Deville. It is believed that may be some sort of follow-up to Pat McAfee's interview with WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon on tonight's show, but nothing is official. McAfee versus McMahon is in some form is still rumored for WrestleMania 38, and while McAfee agreed to wrestle on the grandest stage of them all, during the interview, Vince said they will find him a worthy opponent. The Revolution Go Home edition of AEW Rampage will air live tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern on TNT from the Edition Financial Arena in Orlando, Florida. Florida is going to be brimming with wrestling tonight. Keith Lee will make his Rampage in-ring debut tonight, but there's no words yet on who he will be facing. Serena Deeb hosts another edition of the Professor's 5-Minute Rookie Challenge. Ethan Page versus Christian Cage in the final phase of the Revolution Ladder Match qualifier. The Raina Jones, Keith Lee, Warlord, Powerhouse Hobbs, FTW Champion Ricky Starks, and Orange Cassidy, and AEW TNT Champion Sammy Guevara defends against Darby Allin and Andrade El Idolo in a triple threat match. That's everything that's going on tonight in the world of wrestling. Make sure to check in with the homie Leglo as he breaks down what's going on SmackDown, what's going on Rampage, and also enjoy Rampage. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a live watch with Laylo during Revolutions this weekend. So make sure to enjoy all the wrestling that there is. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you were here with me, and I thank you for that. Also, I have a behind the scenes video on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/physics, of everything that I'm working on in the studio right now. The new album, Good Day Greater Tomorrow, still being worked on, but it's coming out this year. So if you want to have an idea what it sounds like, make sure to hit up my YouTube page. Also, like, subscribe, and comment on that as well. Till then, I will see you next week on Monday. Peace.
Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to know when we go live next. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Wrestling on We, and thanks for watching.